So VSD. What is VSD? So we all know VSD is ventricular septal defect. VSD is nothing but a ventricular septal defect. So naturally, VSD will be talking about the introduction in a case of VSD, how the clinical features will happen. Very importantly, we're going to talk about the types of VSD, what are the investigation I should do in a case of VSD, and what is the management in a case of ventricular septal defect. I'll be telling you the MCQs, questions and everything, and we'll finish it off. VSD, this is the VSD. We all know VSD, it is a ventricular septal defect. In simple words, if I ask you a question, the most simplest question on this planet, please tell me VSD, is it a right to left shunt or left to right shunt? What do you think, guys? Left to right or right to left? We all have seen in very simple language that the left side of the heart usually have a higher pressure and a higher musculature than the right side of the heart. That is why VSD will always be a left to right shunt. I'll repeat again. Whatever I'm reading it for the first and last time. In this class, I've got an idea that VSD, it is a left to right shunt because the left side of the heart has a higher pressure than the right side of the heart. Number one. Number two, very importantly, is it a cyanotic or a acyanotic congenital heart disease? What do you think? So VSD, please remember. So we all know that the blood from left to right, it is going to the pulmonary artery, and from the pulmonary artery, it is going to the lungs. It is going to the lungs. So when anything goes to the lungs, what is the function of the lungs? Any idea? We all know the function of the lungs is nothing but purification and oxygenation. So automatically, when the blood is going to the lungs, automatically the purification and oxygenation is happening. So VSD, it is a acyanotic congenital heart disease. I'll repeat again, very importantly, we got an idea that ventricular septal defect, number one, it is a left to right shunt because the left side of the heart has a higher pressure. Secondly, VSD is the acyanotic congenital heart disease because very importantly, we have spoken that when the blood is going to the lungs, the function of the lungs is purification and oxygenation. So naturally, it is a acyanotic congenital heart disease. Now, next question, if I ask you very importantly, VSD, do you see plethoric lung fields or oligemic lung fields? Have you heard this word? Yes or no? There is something known as plethoric lung fields and something known as oligemic lung fields. So plethoric lung fields and oligemic lung fields, what is the meaning of that? Plethoric lung fields means increase pulmonary artery blood flow. Plethoric means increase pulmonary artery blood flow, and oligemic means decrease pulmonary artery blood flow. So what do you think, guys? In VSD, there is a plethoric lung fields or oligemic lung fields. So we all know the blood from the superior vena cava also is going down to the lungs, and from the VSD also it is going down to the lungs. So that is why automatically when too much of blood is going to the lungs, that is nothing but plethoric lung fields. So I'll repeat again, in this class, I've got an idea that VSD number one, it is a left to right shunt. It is a congenital acyanotic congenital heart, acyanotic, and it is a congenital heart disease with plethoric lung fields. Next question, which is the most common congenital heart disease in full cardiology? Again, the same question. The most common congenital heart disease in full cardiology is nothing but a VSD only. And the most common acyanotic congenital heart disease also is nothing but VSD. Okay. So a lot of theoretical, clinical, integrated MCQs, lot of questions we are covering. Now, next important point we have it over here is that which is the most common congenital heart disease affected by infective endocarditis, which is the Most common congenital heart affected by infective endocarditis, where I have to give a treatment for this subacute bacterial endocarditis. I have to give some azithromycin or something like that. The answer is VSD only is one of the congenital heart disease which can cause infective endocarditis. Eventually, we'll get to see in the further slides why it is happening. Right now, that it can happen, that is what I should remember. Number one. Number two, very importantly, when the patients of a large VSD become symptomatic, or even I can say, when are the left to right shunts patient become symptomatic, symptoms of heart failure, symptoms are coming basically. Now, very importantly, what are the symptoms first of all, and when will they come? Naturally, I told you, if this is a VSD, this is a VSD, ventricular septal defect. We all know, very importantly, this is the right atrium, right ventricle, and left atrium and left ventricle. We all know this is the pulmonary artery and this is the aorta. Yes or no? So when I know too much of blood is going to the pulmonary artery, and too much of blood will go to the lungs. When too much of blood is going to the pulmonary arteries and then going to the lungs, that will cause, basically, I can say in simple words, lungs infection. It can cause lung infections, basically. Lung infections, as in, what are the problem of lung problems we can have? We can have upper respiratory tract infection. We have lower respiratory tract infection. So much of cough and cold, so much of cough and cold will have, the patient can have recurrent pneumonias. The patient can come to you, recurrent pneumonia, yes or no? Or the patient can come to you with recurrent hospitalization. The patient will come to you with recurrent hospitalization. And doctor, every month my baby 2 to 3 times is admitted with cough and cold. I don't know why my baby is having repeated cough and cold. The mother is thinking respiratory pathology, but the reality is cardiac pathology. And the baby end up having a case of FTT. What is FTT? The answer is failure to thrive. FTT is nothing but failure to thrive. That's it. Very simple, very easy. So naturally, if I talk about ASD, VSD, and PDA, means all these three, we all know, we have spoken in the previous classes that they are left to right shunts. So these patients basically will have all these clinical features. So three questions: ASD, VSD, PDA. All these three patients will have these clinical features. That is nothing but URTI, LRTI, repeated cough and cold, recurrent pneumonia, recurrent hospitalization. And in the end, because of recurrent hospitalization, I'm not gaining weight and height, and that is known as failure to thrive. And last but not the least, just now we spoke about it, the patient later can develop infective endocarditis. The patient can develop infective endocarditis. So these repeated cough and cold, or the chances of failure in general, all the left to right shunt, they roughly take around 2 to 6 weeks to 2 to 3 months. So VSD patient coming to you with all these symptoms, it'll be a case of 2 to 6 weeks to 2 to 3 months. This is the timeline where he'll be coming to your OPD anytime. VSD, right? And the symptoms, all the URTI, LRTI, pneumonia, everything I have already told you. Next important point we have it over here is, what are the various types of VSD? This is an important point again. What are the various types of VSD, and which is the most common type of ventricular septal defect? So the most commonest type, see that the types of VSD are: number one, we have perimembranous VSD. Number two, we have muscular VSD. Remember Prime Minister, PM, remember that. And then we have the inlet and outlet defects. We have something known as inlet defect and something known as defect on the outlet part known as outlet defect. Okay, so perimembranous, muscular, inlet VSD, inlet defect VSD, and outlet defect, that is also known as subpulmonary VSD. So that you should know. Whatever we are reading this for the first and last time. You guys have paid money, you guys are here, focus, relax, try to watch it like a Netflix movie and finish. And whatever you're reading this for the first and last time. Focus on the images and focus on this smiley. That's it. So tell me the types of VSD. We have PM, Prime Minister, P for perimembranous VSD, M for muscular VSD. Then we have inlet and outlet VSD. That you should know. Means inlet defects, various inlet defects can happen, and we have outlet defect also when the VSD is, the aorta and the, what you call the VSD, the right ventricle is connected to the pulmonary artery. So inlet VSD and outlet VSD. Done. So muscular perimembranous inlet and outlet defect. Very simple question. Which is the most commonest type of VSD? So we have the perimembranous VSD, Prime Minister, P and M. So perimembranous VSD followed by muscular VSD. If I ask you a question, which is the most commonest type of atrial septal defect? Any idea? Yes. The most commonest type of ASD is the ostium secundum type of atrial septal defects. The most commonest type of ASD is ostium secundum ASD, and the most commonest type of VSD is perimembranous followed by muscular. Next important point we have it over here in VSD is, can spontaneous closure happen in a case of VSD? What do you think? Can spontaneous closure happen over here? I heard some small VSD will close over the time. The answer is very well true. Yes, it can happen naturally. Small PDS, small ASD, small VSD, they can close over time. So the book says 25 to 40% of the VSD, they close by 2 years. 25 to 40% VSD will close by 2 years, and around roughly 90% of the small VSD will close by 10 years. So 40% will close, but roughly around, some book says 90% of VSD will close by 10 years. By 10 years, 90% of VSD will close. Now, one thing you need to know, this is one important point I need to mention over here, is that is nothing but, very importantly, some percentage of VSD, 5 to 10% of moderate to large VSD, they will show you a Gasul's effect. Now, this is a DM question, Gasul's effect. So 5 to 10% of moderate to large VSD will show you a Gasul's effect. What is this Gasul's effect? So we all know when it is a VSD, we all know it is a left to right shunt. When more and more blood is going to the pulmonary artery, because the blood is coming from the superior vena cava also, that is going to the pulmonary artery, and the blood from the VSD also is going to the pulmonary artery. So we all know there is increase pulmonary artery blood flow. There is increase pulmonary artery blood flow. So what do you call this? Do you call this plethoric lung fields or oligemic lung fields? This is known as plethoric lung fields, right? So this is known as plethoric lung field. So more and more blood is going to the pulmonary artery. What will happen? Like, for example, if more and more traffic is going in a Delhi road, when more and more traffic goes to the Delhi one road, it is going too much of traffic, what will happen to the road eventually? That road start getting tired, that road start getting exhausted, or that road start getting damaged. So this pulmonary artery eventually start getting damaged, and it will develop pulmonary stenosis. It will develop pulmonary stenosis. So now listen very carefully. All these, when too much of blood was going to the pulmonary artery, and the patient was having URTI, LRTI, pneumonia, suddenly this URTI, LRTI, pneumonia, now they will stop. Yes or no? Because naturally, the patient has now developed pulmonary stenosis. So now all this URTI, LRTI, and pneumonia, They will slowly stop. And the mother feels very happy. Thank God, doctor, you are a savior. My baby is now feeling better because now the baby is cough and cold, everything pneumonia symptom. Now it is not coming. Now, but the reality is the child is almost developing a Eisenmenger syndrome. The reality is the child is now developing, which is also known as reversal of shunt. The reality is the child is now coming to a right to left shunt, and the reality is the child may be now almost coming to a case of unoperable. You can't even operate now, that much damage has happened. Now this beautiful thing is known as Gasul's effect. This beautiful thing, it is known as Gasul's effect, where there is a paradoxical improvement. There is a suddenly improvement is there in the clinical condition of the baby, but the reality is something else. The reality is the child is getting actually a bigger damage. The child is getting a pulmonary stenosis, or I can say pulmonary vascular disease. The child is developing pulmonary vascular disease. So this is a very beautiful point known as Gasul's effect, where I'll again write Gasul's effect means there is a infundibular pulmonary stenosis. Like pulmonary stenosis basically is may develop, or I can say there is a paradoxical clinical improvement. Paradoxical means opposite. There is a pulmonary stenosis happening, but suddenly the patient is showing improvement. So paradoxical. So paradoxical clinical improvement means symptoms of the congestive heart failure reduces in some infant with a large VSD after the 1 year of life. So it was a large VSD and increased pulmonary artery blood flow, eventually pulmonary stenosis, and symptoms of CHF reduces. Now that's what. So this is something you need to understand, that ultimately this line is very nice. I like this line. It says that ultimately, if left untreated, these children go on to develop Eisenmenger syndrome, which is nothing but irreversible pulmonary hypertension. And naturally, the baby eventually develops cyanosis. Normally, VSD is a acyanotic congenital heart disease, and eventually over the period of time the child has started developing cyanosis, but his cough and cold now it is reduced. So that is nothing but Eisenmenger syndrome, which comes under Gasul's effect.